Very happy Friday morning to you, YouTube. Um, it's finally upon us. Playoff time is here. Wednesday night was opening night with a whole whack of games, with some interesting storylines and whatnot, but that doesn't really matter because the main event was last night when the Leafs visited Boston, a place they have not had much success in, a place with a couple of very recent playoff failures, and going back and forth with my dad over email and a family friend. We always email about Leaf talk and everything. I kind of gave my opinion that the Leafs could easily take this series, provided they get a couple of things. A, Freddie gets back to his normal old self, and B, the Leafs put the last couple months behind them, press the reset button, and get back to that coordinated team attack, which utilizes their team speed, because they're a very fast team and the Bruins are a very slow team. The question was, could they just press that reset button? Could they put the last couple months of very inconsistent play, defensive turnovers, Freddie not great, could everybody put that behind them and just get back to being the Leafs? And the answer after game one is an emphatic yes. They looked like they did last night, like they did at the very start of the season when their power play was hammering goals home. Everybody was moving their legs and skating. Everybody knew where everybody was. The forwards came back to help out in the D zone, which made things so much easier on their defensemen. And Fred looked like his normal old Vezina form kind of self, right? So last night was like everybody was fearful, or not everybody, but most Leafs fans, I think, from everything I'd heard, they were fearful of game one in Boston again, and it was, the Leafs just were like, doesn't matter. Bruins got on the board first. There was a couple of high sticking calls that were kind of like, oh god, but that was the only damage the Bruins were able to do, was in the first period on the power play from a high sticking call on Nylander, and the top line scored a power play goal. But after that, that was all the Leafs gave them. And near the end of the period, there was a scramble, and Marner hammered home a slap shot from beside the net and tied the game. And then early in the second period, DeBrusk called Marner down on a shorthanded breakaway for a penalty shot, and Marner made Rask look like a complete stooge when he put a couple moves on him and just tucked it home nice and easy. And then late in the period, Nylander made up for his earlier gaffe on the high sticking penalty, and Kadri sprung him with a beautiful pass on a breakaway, and he beat Rask 5-hole. And then Johnny T sealed the deal late in the game when the Bruins had the goalie pulled with an empty netter. So when you look at the stats, the shots were very even, a lot of things were very even, but it was very much the Leafs game. Their team speed and their commitment to playing a team game, especially in the defensive zone, held a lot of those Bruins shooters. Like, the shots weren't great quality. They were from far out. Freddie could see them coming from a mile away, and he just turned them aside. Not saying he had an easy night. The Bruins did have some good chances, and he turned all of those aside except the one power play goal. So it was very much tilted in the Leafs' favor. So that was a good answer in game one, because it shows, okay, they're not just going to get swept and go out in four. And if they do play their game, they're easily capable of, it could be a sweep in either way. If the Leafs show up, use their speed, they can easily dispatch the Bruins in 4 or 5 games. Whereas conversely, if they don't show up and they're sloppy and turn over and play like shit in the defensive end, the Bruins can take care of the series in 4 or 5 games. So it's all a matter of, can the Leafs keep up what they did in game one throughout the rest of the series, however long it might go. So it's entirely in their court, because the Leafs' speed last night made the Bruins look like, don't even say an average team, below average team. They got beat all the time. So it's up to the Leafs basically at this point. If Freddie stays hot and they use their speed, they can easily take it. So it's just game one, but that's a good sign going forward for the rest of the series, for them to walk in and take game one pretty handily like that. It's the ball's in their court. It's up to them. So we'll see what happens. I can't wait for Saturday night. I hope they show up, play the exact same kind of game. Doesn't guarantee they're going to win, but it's going to hopefully guarantee better things to come, and at least hopefully in the end a series win. So good on the Leafs last night. I'm very excited. I'm very happy with their performance. They had their full lineup finally back, and the fourth line played great. That's a real luxury for Babs right now, to be able to roll all three lines. And he wasn't so focused on the matchups last night. I think the only real hard matchup he played was Muzzin and Zaitsev were always out against the Bruins top line, and they did a good job. So that left Riley and Hainsey to maybe focus more on offense and not worrying about the hard defensive matchup. And yeah, everybody had a good game. There were really no passengers last night. So yeah, let's hope they keep it up on Saturday, and we'll see how the rest of this series unfolds. Have a great Friday.